Welcome, everyone, to Ladder Daily Digest. We honor creators, and we're normally in Tim's living room, but tonight, as a special treat, we're in Tim's hospital room, where Tim is joining us from the nearest hospital with some cardiac problems, we'll say. And so thanks, Tim, for letting us into your hospital room. And we're probably going to stay after visitor hours, so you just tell them that we just have permission to stay there the whole time. And I told Tim earlier, if things go south and he happens to see Mother in Heaven this afternoon, to give us a call and give us a report on the show tonight. But so far, he's not seen aren't we? Mother in Heaven today, so that's good, I guess. So
that's pretty harsh.
Megan is joining us from Third Verse, Midlife Revolution. Down at the bottom, we have Jasmine. Jasmine, if you want to just introduce yourself a little bit to some people in our audience, you could just say whatever you want.
Hello, I'm Jasmine.
That's right, Jasmine. Jasmine's claim to fame is she helped promote the very first annual Journal of Mormon Polygamy Conference.
Well, that's cool, Jasmine. We're glad to have you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was fun.
We have Kristen Darling at the bottom. Hi, Kristen. Kristen is a poet. Randy and I interviewed her today, and we're going to release the show.
You're welcome.
I don't remember when. And let's see, then Randy, my often co-host, is with us at the bottom. The Backyard Professor is with us tonight.
I'm going to boost UAP. I'll be right back. Keep talking.
Because a lot of people are going to say UAPs, Mother in Heaven, could be the same thing, right? On Backyard Professor's channel. And so I'm not even going to be able to keep up with the chat tonight, I bet. It's going to be so popping. And
Hello.
What I wanted to do is Kristen has posted in the Bloggernacle a long time ago, and say what the name of it was again. I guess you're muted.
Hello.
There she is.
What blog or
Yeah, the Mormon wives that
So yeah, I had some interactions with feminist Mormon housewives back in the heyday.
That's right. It was the public lives of Mormon wives back in the day.
The very slightly thinly anonymized secret lives of Mormon housewives.
That's right, the precursor.
Yeah.
And let's see. So Megan, do you want to start out with a little blurb, and then we'll go to Kristen, and then Jasmine, and then we'll see what the men have to say.
Sure. I mean, I'm honestly not the most qualified person to lead this panel, to be honest with you. I actually, I love discussions of the divine feminine, but I don't know as much about it as I probably should, having been raised in Mormon and a 7th generation Mormon. Certainly since I've left Mormonism, I've learned a lot more about other world religions that celebrate the divine feminine. And I think as a youngster in Mormonism, I always loved the hymn, "Oh My Father," because it's one of the only ones that actually talks about Mother in Heaven. But I grew up in an era where there wasn't a discussion about the possibility of talking about Heavenly Mother. And there wasn't an ordained women movement. And there wasn't, any possibility of including any of those things in the discussion. And it wasn't until I left Mormonism that I had this realization that there's a possibility if, let's just put this out there, if Mormonism is true, then it's possible that all of us could have been descended from a different Mother in Heaven because Mormons believe that polygamy exists in heaven and that, if you adhere to the faith as a woman, your fate is to eternally be giving birth to spirit babies where you get to share your spouse with who knows how many other women. And so It's always been a subject that's been tough for me because I would have loved to talk more about Heavenly Mother or to have a better idea that there was a Heavenly Mother out there. I think that would have made me feel better about the faith for sure. But I think that the main reason why now the church leaders don't want to talk about a divine feminism is because it's threatening to the patriarchal order of the church. If we give power to a feminine God, then we take power away from the masculine God. And so I think that's the main reason why we're not really allowed to talk about Heavenly Mother in Mormonism. And I think it's one of the reasons why that conversation will never really develop in the mainstream church. So all I want to say is that, thinking about the character of the God of the Bible, especially the Old Testament God, where he's a jealous God, he's an angry God, he's a God that's okay with killing men, women, and children for various reasons, mostly for their lack of loyalty. I think if we had a Heavenly Mother character, if there was a divine feminine that we worshiped rather than the God of the Old Testament, that there would be a lot more kindness and understanding, a lot more empathy, and a lot less violence and destruction in the Bible. But that's just my personal opinion. So, I definitely, since I've left the church, have looked into a lot of the other religious traditions that do celebrate the divine feminine. And I find a lot of value in a lot of those stories. And I think where I am at this particular moment is that I do find value in a lot of different religious stories the same way that I find value in fables and other things. And I like a lot of the examples of the divine feminine in other religions. And I'm a little disappointed that Mormonism is never going to be that way.
That's right. So who do I say next? Jasmine? Say a little bit about what you
Lila
just
showed
for
up.
you.
Hello.
Lila?
Yeah.
Sorry,
Hi, Lila.
but
It's okay.
Hello.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I probably missed something important. Go ahead, Jasmine. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, so I grew up with kind of a Catholic. I was around Catholicism because I was able to have the opportunity to go to Mexico. So I saw Feminine Divine, and that was one of the greatest experiences I had as a child, to see all of the statues and to see how honored she is, to see the shrines in the streets. And it's so steeped in ritual, and it's just very empowering. So when I looked at Mormonism, that was kind of when I did have a little faith crisis. That definitely was the reason, was because there wasn't a Heavenly Mother. Then I went down the polygamy rabbit hole. And it was fascinating to see the history as I was learning about women giving priestesshood blessings and that sort of thing. So I also think it's really interesting because, speaking of polygamy, the polyamorous community, a lot of them are pagan and a lot of them worship female deities. And so it's really interesting to look at the polytheistic ways that other people who practice poly lifestyles, they do see that a lot. And I kind of echo what she said. I think that Mormonism has to confront polygamy and Heavenly Mothers, plural, before we can kind of look at what the balancing of the genders would be. And I also, I really love what she said, that maybe there's a whole set of spiritual gifts that we're missing on by not embracing the Heavenly Mother. I really love this idea of women giving blessings when other women are pregnant, or when women are having specific women related issues. So yeah, I think it's all interesting. The parallels, the wisdom and the Sophia, Sally Chase, she was the first seeress in Mormonism, and she taught Joseph Smith how to read in the seer stones. We also have Mary Whitmer. So there seems to be kind of a budding that never really fully took off, and Brigham Young probably didn't help with that. So yeah, I really love all things Heavenly Mother.
There you go. Now, Kristen, we'll let you say some things.
All I knew when I was leaving Mormonism is that if there is a God, that I wanted nothing to do with the Mormon Heavenly Father anymore. And my deconstruction has involved these poetic conversations with the divine feminine, where I ask, Heavenly Mother, how do I survive my depression? And wait for the answer. And these poetic transmissions always have the voice of a Heavenly Mother. So whether it's myself talking to myself as a poet or the sacred feminine uplifting me, that is the construct that I reach to in my poetry.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
I would like to read some of that poetry sometime.
Well, it's all over the internet. So
Okay, I'll look you up.
Yeah,
And
It's interesting.
go ahead.
it just so happens that on our interview this morning, she read some beautiful poems, and that'll be released here in a couple of days. And it would be a great one to watch.
one
Awesome.
specifically
I will do
about Heavenly Mother. So,
I will do so.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
right.
Well, when it comes to feminine self-actualization spiritually, does that come out in your poetry?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And reclaiming Mother God as well, as someone who is knowable and seeable in the face of each other, instead of hidden, veiled, shrouded, unknowable, unnameable, almost fragile entity. I mean, if she is Mother God, she is a goddess. She does not need our protection.
Right on.
I love that.
I do too.
Yeah.
And one thing I'll say is that when I was growing up, and this is part of what we can talk about, is our experiences and what we were learned or what we were thought about when we were young, is I assumed there was a mother in heaven, but I was kind of perplexed that we didn't really talk about it. But every now and then we get to sing that song, the hymn. Megan probably remembers what hymn it is.
Oh, my
Oh,
Father.
my Father.
Yeah, it's called "Oh My Father."
Oh my Father. Yeah.
finally get
Isn't
to
that
that verse.
ironic that the only song in Mormonism that mentions Mother God is called Oh My Father?
Yeah, it mentions that there has to be a mother up there somewhere. If we have heavenly parents,
Somewhere. Yeah, she's out there. Who cares where?
yeah, and so
At least
that
they
was
got the
always
sex
confusing
and
to me.
art.
But I always felt, sort of a connection to like the earth or Mother Earth or something, Gaia or whatever, something resonated a little bit with me, and so anyhow, does anybody else have the similar early experiences, or did anybody?
I don't think we've heard from Lila yet.
Yeah,
That's
Lila.
right. And Lila, thanks for coming on, Lila. And Lila is an author of some books, and we'll let you say if you want any book that you want to talk about or anything you want to say.
That's okay. I'll leave that. It's not really applicable to this topic, so I won't go there. But thank you for the offer.
Right.
As far as my feelings about Mother in Heaven, I think I feel similarly to who just spoke? Who was it just now?
Oh,
Right
that
before
was Kristen.
Anyway,
Darling.
was it Kristen? Okay, so yeah, so she was talking about, all you knew that when you left was it can't be like the God that we had in Mormonism. And I remember thinking, of course there's a mother in heaven, probably multiple mothers, probably hundreds of mothers, because I figured there was polygamy there and that there's no one mother that could have had the entire human race. And so maybe there was a mother for each of the races. I had all these thoughts in my head. And then when I deconstructed, God went away. And I hate to be one of those, but I am one of those. God went away. I realized that this is all, kind of our magical thinking, that we've created a God, that we need to have a God and therefore a goddess. And so I'm probably on one of the outliers in this group. I don't have anything negative to say about Mother in Heaven. I think it's a beautiful concept. And I would love it if there was a Mother in Heaven. I would love there to be feminine deity, but deity is something that I deconstructed. So now I kind of look at it all as it's a myth, and it's a lovely myth to me. That's just how I see it. I would hope there would be fairness. I think it's horrific that in Mormonism we aren't allowed to talk about Heavenly Mother. Like, seriously? What kind? I know there's patriarchy and it's toxic, but that takes it to a whole new level when you're not allowed to even discuss the partner to our Father God. Did he create us by himself? In whose image were we created? The women, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if it's true that we were created in God's image, where is that Mother God that we can look to and say, yeah, we were created in her image? We're
Right.
just
and I'm finding out that the early gods images were females because mothers created something amazing, right? The guys just assumed that they had some sort of part in it, but the mother experienced the baby growing, the mother experienced the birth. The mother was the creator, and all the God images from thousands of years ago were mostly feminine. And because of whatever the economy was and writing and men taking over religion and dominating it, whatever that social pressures were, that caused the diminishing of the divine feminine and the myths that could enrich all of us, right? But anyway, so Backyard Professor, your channel doesn't get this talk very much anymore. It used to be big news. You and I did a Divine Feminine episode. I think Maven helped
Well, every
out.
now and then we can update and upgrade. It's all good.
Yeah. And so maybe talk to your audience a little bit about why this is sort of an important subject to you.
Well, I'm talking to your audience too.
Yeah.
Three prongs, just briefly. Number one, and it's close to ironic that no longer being an apologist, you would think that I would just dump studying all those doctrines, but I don't. I mean, they're not as prominent right now, no, because I've got other more universal, no pun intended, things to think about. But I'm glad to see a giggle on that one, Tim. Nothing like laughing in the hospital bed, I'll tell you what. So my approach is through Margaret Barker, one of my favorites on this particular topic. She spent her entire life on it, and she is working on what is the third book of a proposed trilogy. Here we go, the BYP idea. Mother of the Lord is her first one, which is a complete, total knock it out of the park grand slam. The Great Lady, restoring her story, which is another complete, total grand slam. And her third one is going to be, she is working hard on it. I'm not quite sure what the title is. I have been in communication. I'm getting feedback like crazy. Shall I put my hold on.
Headphones will save you.
Yeah. I got to get them. Oh my goodness. This is so
Backyard Professor, hold that thought and we'll have Tim talk. Tim might be the next one to see Mother in Heaven. And I joke with Tim all the time. But
let's listen to Tim for a moment.
Tim, do you have any thoughts about Mother in Heaven, like growing up or anything?
Is he frozen?
Is he frozen?
Tim is
Maybe he's
frozen.
Seeing her now.
Right
I
behind.
have a poor internet connection in the hospital.
Right.
It keeps
We can hear you now.
swinging it out.
Darn.
So go ahead, Tim.
Tim, maybe if you could hop out of bed and go up to the top of the parking lot.
Tim actually looks like he's a saint with the light behind him glowing.
He does, doesn't he? Yeah. Holy cow, the halo over Tim Rathbone.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go back to Backyard Professor for a little while.
I was going to do a
Okay. I will.
I was going to do a quick 3-prong approach just as a sort of a guide. Number one, there is really fascinating scholarship evidence that the Great Mother, the feminine principle, the idea of a feminine divine in ancient Hebrew religion and thought was originally in the Bible, and primarily through the means of translation manipulation, she has been excised out of the scripture, but not out of the Judaic religion as such. She is huge in the mystical Kabbalah literature and the Sephirot literature and the Hekkelot literature of the Sefer Yetzirah, the Bahir, and the Zohar. Before that, she was huge in the Gnostic materials, but she has been translated out, and Margaret Barker, through an analysis of the Hebrew, is bringing her back in. So that's one prong. She is very real to the Jews. The second prong I would propose for this interesting study of the divine Heavenly Mother is the mythological analysis of the mythology based from Joseph Campbell's research, Mircea Eliade research, some of the great historians of mythology, not as a basis of negativity, but as a basis of the reality. Because anciently, now see, our thought patterns are not what the ancients had, not by a long shot. We view myth as opposite of history. They viewed myth as the ground of reality. They were storytellers, and the truth can be told through the story. We get that in the Old Testament all over the place. It doesn't change in the New Testament. We get that in the New Testament all over the place, about the interaction of Jesus with women, about the interaction with Mother Mary. Can you guys hear me all right?
Just barely. We're getting it.
We can hear you, but there's a little reverb going.
There's a little reverb, not bad. I'll try to sit back. Sorry. And so through the stories, we get a better understanding, the emphasis of Mother Mary and Mary and Martha and the women who were the female apostles in the New Testament have not been overly emphasized, but they have been mentioned and understood to be there. So that's another rank and file idea. And then finally, with the topic that I've been hunched on now for about 6 months or so, the UFO theme. Wow. The UFO theme has come through exquisitely strong with the divine feminine, astonishingly enough, in numerous places. The most popular at this point is the Chris Bledsoe story, whom is the most investigated UFO experiencer in the world. Every 3-letter agency, the DOJ, the DOI, the FBI, the CIA, the STUPID, the IDIOTS, name any of them, they have investigated Chris Bledsoe in astonishing ways, and they all find his story very realistic. Colonel Alexander indicated that what convinced them that Chris Bledsoe was the real deal was when he described the visit of the lady to him to tell him his mission about talking about the orbs and the UFOs. So in conjunction with that, I just recently, a couple of weeks ago, on my live on Sunday, talked about the most astonishing fulfillment of Sioux prophecy of the American Indians just last year. White Buffalo Woman has come back. They have the second coming of the Great Mother. She promised 2,000 years ago that when the ages of mankind had come and went, come and went, come and went, there would be a time where she would need to be reborn as a white buffalo calf. This specific one was to have the telltale mark of a black nose and black hooves as well. That was born last year in West Yellowstone Park, and the Indians, and I'm not worried about being politically correct. I have some people who say I'm heinous for calling them Indians, but the Native Americans, we all know who I'm talking about, the Sioux tribe specifically, not to mention the Hopi grand female deity, who is a blue Kachina from the sky, the star people. But she said in a time of severe trouble, she would come back. Now, this was going to be a sign of hope, and it was going to be a warning that the end of the age was fast arriving, very fast. And we as a human species have a choice to make. We can either choose, this is where we're at according to the Sioux point of view, the Sioux prophecy, with it fulfilled now with this white buffalo calf. We can either choose total destruction or do it right and cooperate together as a species worldwide so that we don't destroy the earth. Otherwise, Mother Earth will wipe us away. Now, in the really, truly antique civilization mythology, their cosmogenesis stories all describe how the Great Mother is who gave birth to the universe. So from a former Mormon perspective, as most of us here, if not all of us are, this theme of the Mormon leaders kind of patting Heavenly Mother on the head and saying, giving her the attitude, oh, there, yes, you're important, but would you step aside and let the priesthood do the real work? You know, stay at home, cook your cookies, raise your kids, etc. But we're the ones that get to push the button to raise and lower the mic in sacrament meeting, and our boys are the ones that get to pass the sacrament. No, you ladies just sit back and relax. That particular patriarchal attitude just doesn't cut it. Now, for whatever reason, when I first heard this fascinating theme of a Heavenly Mother, it was like electricity through me. I have always just loved the idea. It doesn't matter if it's a physical reality. It doesn't matter if it's a spiritual false doctrine. It's irrelevant because the psychology of the yin and the yang is universal. There is a female half, there is a male half. They work together, and that's how this universe works at this particular time. So that would be kind of a three-pronged approach I have with this. The ancient Hebrew tradition is enormously fascinating through Margaret Barker's keen eyes of the original Hebrew and translation issues, as well as the Gnostics idea of the Sophia, the Pistis Sophia, and the early Christian ideas with Mother Mary and Martha, the women were the ones who first saw Jesus resurrected, and the way Jesus treated women as opposed to the men in that patriarchal society. And then the theme of the Heavenly Mother in the mythologies across the world through all time is there very prominently and equally. And then the modern day relevance coming back with a big bang, no pun intended, considering she birthed the universe. She has come back now through the Native American prophecies, which shocks all of us. We thought Christianity would have it, or the Mormons thought, well, our Mormon prophet will reveal when the second coming is and all that jazz. It didn't happen that way. It's coming through the Native American. Most interesting, and then I'll stop, of all of the races, and it's their interpretation of their visitation from the sky people who visit the Native Americans, whether in Mesoamerica, Guatemala, Mexico, New Mexico, it does not matter where. They are always told by the star people that they are the star people's children. They have the DNA of the star people. There is a direct biological connection somehow, and that is why they are the chosen race, so to speak. Now, me personally, I have trouble with the whole concept of a chosen race, because that brings in so many problems on a worldwide scale. But there's something to it when the Native American Indians' prophecies begin to be fulfilled, and they have brought down the star constellations onto their holy sacred landscape. The constellation of Orion down on the plains of Arizona, New Mexico, and Colorado, etc., at Old Oribe and all those areas on the three mesas. This is so fascinating, but we have to keep an open mind, because in some respects it's disappointing depending on what tradition you believe you are from. And of course, yours is always the truth. And seeing it fulfilled in another one, and you go, so what? You downplay it and poo-poo it, and that's the wrong approach. So an open-minded approach is called for. A reverence for all of the traditions, not necessarily belief in all of them, but this psychology, in my opinion, of beginning to bring back and be inclusive with half of humanity that the men 2,000 years ago or even 3,000 years ago just severed and stuck in convents to do nothing to help the process of being human. This idea of bringing it all back together and respecting the total tradition of our humanity, I would propose, is very good.
That's right. And we haven't really heard very much from Randy. So Randy, we'll let you have the floor for a little while. As long as you turn your mic on.
I would be inclined to believe a lot more in the Native American tales, beliefs, than I would anything from the LDS origins. You know, kind of like Lila touched on, I no longer believe in the Mormon God at all. I cannot forsake all of my belief in some sort of deity. I've seen too many miraculous things happen. But if there was a God, and like Megan says, if the church were true, first of all, we're all in big trouble. But if there were to be a God, we know who the organizer would be, and that would be the female counterpart. It would be literally impossible, according to LDS teachings. It would be literally impossible for a God to create all of this without, you know, if you're going to have electricity, you've got to connect the two cords. And without a Heavenly Mother, it would all be for naught. It would all be nil. It couldn't be a creation. It would take two. However, I don't necessarily believe in a God that created everything, because I cannot, no matter how hard I try, and it hurts my brain to think about this, no matter how hard I try, I can't believe that God was eternal in both directions. Like there never was a beginning. What? I mean, God was not created. He always existed. Excuse me. And like Lila mentioned, you know, if the LDS teachings had any truth to them whatsoever, how many heavenly mothers must there be to birth all these spirits? But you know what? I don't buy that. I don't buy it. I would love to have a few of the mysteries answered for me. Number one, where did it all start? Because it wasn't a big bang, because where did the stuff come from to explode? Where did the matter come from? But it makes total sense to me, just being here on Earth, that if there's going to be an organization of any kind, I know which of the sexes would be organizing it, and it ain't the men. It's always the women. You know, you look at
So true. So true.
you look at ward activities back when we were in the church. Oh yeah, the bishops, the priesthood holders could say, yeah, we're going to have this activity, but who got in, who dug in and made it all happen? It was the sister. It just stands to reason that if there were a God, a physical God, there would have to be, well, yeah, it might not even be a male God. It might be a divine femininity, but it stands to reason if that were the case, there would have to be a pair to create everything.
Interesting.
I won't delve into the mysteries, but it really bugs me that, well, first of all, Jesus Christ supposedly is the favored son of God the Father. Well, if that were the case, wouldn't he go on to create planets and to be the God of those planets? But for all eternity, he's been with God the Father. So what, he got kind of cheated out of things.
No, because in eternity there's no end, so he's just fulfilling a role for a while.
Yeah, as he's done in other worlds, right?
That's
Yeah,
right.
this was just his
Exactly.
first mortal probation, and we all know there are multiple mortal probations.
Right.
I think one of the things that confused me as a young child, like from the very beginning, is that we talk so much about Mother Nature, and Mother Nature as the creator and the designer and the one who made life happen. And I never could reconcile that with what I was being taught in Mormonism. So my questions about that came at an early age, but I think throughout my entire life, I gaslit myself and I thought, well, 6 generations of Mormons before me could not be wrong. And so all of the questions that I had just got put away and explained away because of that. And so I think Mother Nature was probably my first question. My second question was probably about polygamy, because I remember worrying about that at a really young age, like thinking as a 12-year-old, I don't really want to share my husband with someone else. And thinking about how awful that would be to be marginalized as a wife, to choose a husband or to be chosen as a wife, and then to have to share that relationship with other people just never felt right to me as a child, because it didn't sync with all the other things that I was being told, that that we have to be chaste and we can only have one partner, and all of those kinds of things just did not jive with the other things I was being taught about polygamy and everything else. And so I feel now that I'm out of the church and I'm not constrained by so many answers, quote unquote. You know, the Mormon church wants to say that it has an answer for everything. And it's one of those things that makes a lot of people stay longer because they feel safer knowing the answers to everything. And now that I'm firmly in this space of like, I have absolutely no idea. I think that the idea of a loving father and mother who care for us and care about our experience on this earth is a lovely idea, but it doesn't mesh with any of the religious texts that I've ever read or with any of the religious ideals that I was ever taught. And so I think the mythology of the God that I want to believe in doesn't exist in canonized scripture anywhere. And I don't see any evidence of fact for it to be anywhere. And so for me, spirituality is more about myself connecting with the universe and with the idea that we are all made of the same stardust particles. And that's what resonates with me more than anything else.
That's beautiful.
I love that.
Yeah. That's very comfortable for me as well.
Great.
Not
Good
that I
stuff.
completely go that direction, but yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What do you
Tim,
think?
now
Tim?
that you're down in the corner, do you have better reception?
Say again.
Now that you're down in that corner, I was wondering if the reception was any better. So maybe they've got you on heavy drugs and you're not getting what I'm saying. Or you could be frozen.
I think he's frozen. I think he's having trouble with the connection in the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this has been, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, I just wanted to bring up, you know, I've heard a lot of women who are sexual assault survivors talk about Heavenly Mother because that's what they needed to heal. And that would make sense to me. And so going off of what the other women have said, I really do appreciate how even if seeing it as a myth, it can be a very healing element.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. In fact, with the, going back to the Oriental, the yin and the yang, the sign that you do when you recognize the deity in the person, the left brain and the right brain unifying to the one consciousness. It always seems the opposites have to be joined, the male and the female, up and down, etc. That's part of the space-time continuum, but behind that isn't even one, because that differentiates from the infinity. And that's why we have trouble understanding all of this, because the consciousness, what the philosophers would call the ground of being, can't be defined. To define it is to objectify it, and you thus miss out what it means, what it is. But it's the background to all of it. Mm. That's hard stuff to, that's deep, hard stuff.
Yeah.
And I can't say I understand it, but dang, is it fun to try to.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in my last sociology class, it was a sociology of gender class, and they were talking about how this idea that in the future will be post-gender, but before we can be post-gender, we have to be balanced. So it's all of these different parts harmonizing into a singularity, and then we'll be post-gender. I thought that was such a fun, interesting idea, kind of scary, but also very liberating. I don't know. My mind goes a lot of ways with that. But as you said, it's a very complex subject because it has to do with the self-actualization of what gender is.
Yeah, we've got a long way to go before we get to that point. We're still back hundreds of years involved in the battle of the sexes. I mean, we haven't even gone beyond that yet. So,
maybe they need to bring back polyandry. Maybe that's the solution.
I don't know what the solution is. I just know we still have a lot of issues. The thing I'm enjoying, actually, and this probably gets me in more trouble than helps me out, but it's all good, because it's not about me per se. is that the respect, the inclusion of the woman. Who was the most influential woman or man in my childhood was fundamentally my mom. Now, my dad held the church callings, as I did, being a male, but my mom was the most influential. And just one simple thing she did has truly continued to be an integral part of my life, and it has made a huge difference. She taught me once when I was 9 years old. We went to the grocery store, and I went trucking in there because I knew I was going to get a dime and I was going to get to be able to buy 10 pieces of penny candy. I'm aging myself. I'm dating myself. I remember when there was penny candy, literally. But I went running in there, and I opened the door and started to run through it. And I feel this back pull, and my mom had grabbed me by the collar of my shirt and pulled me back. And she said, let the door close. And it's such a simple thing, you guys. It's just not a big deal. So I let it close. And she goes, now, from now on, you open the door. And I get it. This is 1960s. I have had women who have been offended that I do this, because they see it as a put down. It's never intended that way. She made me open the door for her first. Well, how many ladies have appreciated that? And I've been able to smile at. They smile at me. I've made friends with them. I mean, it's just a matter of courtesy instead of, the guy coming home and saying, hey, woman, where's my dinner? It's late. Then she cooks a delicious meal, and he says, this slop is crap. It's burnt. That kind of attitude can't possibly make for a happy marriage or a home. So it's just one of those small, silly things. And here's another one, and I know, boy, the men professors at the college did not like my Russian history teacher, Mrs. Ruckman. I still remember her name. She taught Russian history, and she absolutely loved two people in Russian history, Peter the Great and Catherine the Great. And she always compared and contrasted them and put Catherine above Peter. Oh, she's just a feminist, etc. But from the historical perspective, from her perspective, Catherine had a say in the history of an entire country. What woman in America has had that high of an honor? They keep voting them down, voting them out. Now, women have made great strides. And there is much better than it was even when we all were kids. But, inclusion of both halves is essential for our species to survive. It's not an option, and it's the happier way in the field of space and time. I'm not saying that necessarily as a correct and true doctrine and the only way to be. I'm just suggesting at this point, based on we've seen the men muck up so damn much in our world because of the greed and the attitude, it would really help balance us out a little bit more. And Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time brings that out very powerfully. I'm just saying.
are muckers. We are feather muckers, actually.
Oh, I heard that.
Mutter Ruckers. We're Mutter Ruckers.
We're mucking it, all right.
Yeah.
It's all right. We have to learn the hard way. So anyway, welcome back, Gene.
I'm not quite finished with my dinner, but
It's okay. It's all right. We forgive you this time.
At least you have.
It is really interesting because for women to have spiritual empowerment, I mean, especially here in Utah County, there's a lot of witch circles, and that's really scary to a lot of people. But
Really.
you know, when women aren't put in the light, what's left? It's kind of the dark elements. And so there's a lot of really interesting thought work about if women are meant to be in the dark, the night, then what types of ritual can they do? And so that's where you get the women dancing around the fire and that sort of stuff. That seems really scary to people, but what other ritual? I mean, I guess there's a little in the temple endowment, and I guess you can pass out towels when people are done for baptisms. There's very little ritual that's women led. And oh, look at that. Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
This is one of the most spiritually astonishing books I have ever read, and it's about in the dark is where true wisdom can be found. And Peter Kinsley is not kidding. It's incredible. We ignore that half also. Go to the light. I saw a pillar of light. Oh,
Right.
Jesus's face glowed. And I'm not saying any of that is fake or false or phony or worthless. I'm saying the emphasis on the light, which is a good thing, would be more all-inclusive and better if we balanced it with its proper dark.
Right.
Because
Yes.
in a heaven full of light, you can't see anything. There's no shadow. With shadow, you get the reality. Isn't that amazing? That's kind of fascinating.
Kristen,
Well,
I think.
and births happen at dark. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think I saw Kristen Darling in a witch's hat just yesterday. Is that true?
That's true. I was at the local little witchy store and I found the cutest little red witchy hat. So
I didn't know if you were actually practicing Wiccan or if that was just a fun thing.
oh no, so I'm a very freelance pagan. I don't have an organized coven or something, but I love ritual and kind of loosely organize my practice around the pagan Sabbaths. They're great for the marking the passage of the wheel, and as someone who gets bad seasonal depression, having winter rituals can be very grounding. And I try to think of incubating and resting instead of just like, oh my God, when will the sun come back?
If you think about it, you can't have a covenant path without coven.
Right.
I felt inspired to come on. I could not resist with this topic. I was raised in the mission field in Denver mainly. My experience was I was always taught that I didn't need the priesthood because I had so many other the power of giving birth, and that there was so many other things I never needed it. I never needed it. The thought of being a spiritual mother to a world excited me. It was everything I could ever dream of. Being a polygamous wife forever, at it destroyed my brain to the point that I became obese when I couldn't have more than one kid. I was 303 pounds because I wanted that feeling of being pregnant, of being productive, of being, but I wasn't. I was wasteful. I was so many things in the opposite. But even now I feel then when my shelf broke, it was right when they said, "Oh, we never taught that you get a planet." And it's like, you've got to be kidding me. That's the only thing that kept me going.
Right.
And now it don't exist. Oh no, this is
It's still in the temple. It's still in the temple. They haven't gotten rid of it that I know of.
aware. But I still feel the pull of community. I feel the pull of the ritual. I feel the pull of every little thing. And I feel it as I would as that spiritual mother in that role within my ward, within that was my practice time on how I would learn how to do everything to be able to hold my own and do it myself. Now, does that sound crazy or not?
Not at all.
That's a
Not at
Sounds
all.
loaded
crazy now.
question. That's a loaded question.
Not at all.
Crazy is a
So,
spectrum.
so
exactly.
may I embarrass myself? Who is this lovely new lady here? I don't know if I know you or not. Who
I
are
can
you?
take
What's your
that. I'll take that one. This is Kristen Darling. And
Oh, no, Randy, who just spoke.
no?
That's
I apologize.
Rio
It's
for Life
pointing
is a
down that way.
channel. Her name
Oh,
is Kim D. Yeah, don't worry about when people
Oh.
point because it's different.
Okay.
But yeah,
Good
that's
to
Kim
meet
D.
you.
But
Good to meet you.
I am Rio for Life, Kim D. I have a very interesting background within the church because my father joined after a divorce, and so I was the only child that went back and forth between a non-member family who smoked and drank and a member family. And then I find out that my stepmother was the first that wasn't practicing polygamy. Her mother was the youngest of 26, and they were the special part of the order that were baptized to do. They got to practice polygamy longer. And so it's all the creepiness and the weirdness of the things I didn't understand that I do now.
Yeah.
And my experience was member missionary, which was very different than the Utah experience I'm discovering. And so I'm looking forward to being able to share that experience with the other voices. I'm 60 and I want to have that little, I don't know, Gen X kind of thing shine through to say, we got a lot of strong women here that are just coming out. And yeah, I admire these young ones because I feel like I have less time. I feel like I've been shorted and now I don't have to do double
Yeah.
time,
and
but
it's time to live life.
it's time to live life.
Well,
Exactly.
but everything is an experience, so you really haven't been shorted. That's an illusion. I was thinking that way too, and that's how so many people hang on to their anger. But if you find out the church isn't what you thought it was, and you had it full in, and then you believe, well, crap, I lost 40 years of my life. I'm really furious. And you spend the next 40 years of your life being furious about losing 40 years of your life. That's not good. It's okay to be angry and feel a loss because, as Joseph Campbell said, the Buddhist monk told him, life is all about loss. You lose everything, including you, in order to gain it all. A man who saves his life loses it. A man who loses his life saves it. So it's okay. It's good to feel anger, but don't dwell on it and live it forever because your loss is still an experience. And so I'm very, very grateful for all of my experience, right? I mean, I've gotten to that point. Yeah, it took me 20 years though, I gotta confess. So, but yeah, I hear you. That's what I'm trying to say. Very good. And you're doing well. Just you do you. You be who you are, and it'll all work out. The universe is working through you, just like it is all the rest of the humanity. So it's all
and what
good.
was your name again? I'm so sorry. What was your name?
My name is the screen name is Rio for Life. Rock It
Rio
Out
for
is the
Life.
Rio part, but I'm Kim D High, Heye.
Oh,
And so
gotcha. Okay.
that's
Oh,
who I am.
nice.
And,
Good
Well,
to
I've
meet
seen your
you.
comments, Rio for Life. I've seen them
Oh,
before, so it's always good to put a face with the screen name.
I'm
Yeah,
all
yeah, it
over.
is.
I love all these communities and I learn so much from all of it. It's like a
and
new language is opening up to me, and I
It
have a lot of
is.
vocab words to look up. So it
and
Yeah.
also
helps.
really quickly, Megan and Randy, Kim has a true crime story that we'll get to someday soon, and
Yes.
we'll talk to you about that in the future.
we can start now. We're gearing up to put my true crime stuff that is in process. One is in the courts now, and two are still being investigated. It all
Say the
should start
counties.
rolling out.
Say the counties they're in.
Duchesne and whatever down in Blanding. One's in Duchesne and one's Utah County. So
Okay.
this is
So
lots of stuff, and I appreciate you because I couldn't get to where I am now without that little bit of guidance, that the books, the different stimulus of words that I hadn't heard before. And
Yeah.
it's kind of nice. I get to pick what I want through it all. And the Heavenly Mother, my Heavenly Mother story is I was going through RICA because I had a Catholic husband and was considering joining the Catholic Church. And I asked them about Heavenly Mother. I said, well, I really believe in this. What do you think? And they told me, well, you can believe in that if you want. It's fine with us. And that was the last time I went to class because I thought, oh my goodness, how terrible it is that they would be that accepting to bend their thought processes and accept something they don't really totally believe in. Now I understand the word nuance and I understand different things. But yes, I strongly have feelings and beliefs of a female energy out there.
Yeah.
I don't call it a Heavenly Mother anymore, but there's something that balances all of this out.
Yeah. Great.
You know what's neat, Kim, is what's really neat about this community, especially this Tuesdays with Tim community, is that we're all so damn cool.
Speak for yourself, pal. Some of us are real
you needed
nut
to know
jobs.
that.
Some of us are real idiots and nut jobs. Speak for yourself, pal. Yeah, it's a great group. It really is.
So, Kristen, do you have any more to add to the show?
Unless you want me to start busting out poems.
Uh-oh.
Give us one good sort of divine feminine mother in heaven poem.
All right, no pressure. Let me.
Yeah, that's right. Get right to it.
We just need a grand slam, otherwise you're out.
That's right. No.
I'm not sure you get to call that.
I don't. Good call. Good call. Very good.
That's right.
Touché.
And I'll tell you, it's going to be a grand slam, right, Randy?
I can assure you of that. The one you read today, the Mother's Day one, I think was just, I think it was the last one you read, was just so moving. But whatever you choose is going to be good.
Okay. Well, this one is a zinger. It's called Worthy. He asked if I was worthy. I felt worthy of nothing, even life. He asked if I was worthy. I piled my whispered yes on the mountain of my fraud. He spoke damnation to my bones, worthy. I will never be worthy. Not that kind of worthy. I asked the goddess if I am worthy. She wiped the word from my chin like vomit. My child, you are not worthy. You are exquisite. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Ooh, love that.
Very interesting.
Love it.
Does anyone mind if I share a poem
No,
that I have?
Please, Randy.
please.
It's, she ate a hot dog sandwich. She rolled her eyes above. She ate a half a dozen more and died of puppy love.
That's interesting.
Randy wanted to make sure that Kristen's poem was outstanding.
Yes.
That's really concise.
Kristen's poems have never disappointed in the short time that I've known her. Everything is very profound and beautiful and has a and like I said to her today in our interview, it's two-pronged. Number one, the message that her poems carry, and number two, the passion with which she reads them.
And
You
you're
can
saying
tell-
that interview is going to be out in a few days. I just want to say that for the people who showed up later in this show. We will get that show with her.
You bet. It's up to
Oh,
Gene,
good.
I think, when it comes out, because
Awesome. I'm looking
he's doing
forward to
editing.
seeing that. That's cool. Fun.
I haven't
Fun
finished
stuff.
editing it, so I can't tell for
I-
sure. But I
He
think I'm
just
thinking
recorded
Thursday.
it today, so
Well, Gene's
Yeah.
been doing some excellent work this last year or two, and I've met with him several times at different venues, and he is the real deal. So are you. All of you are. I'm honored just to be here. I appreciate it.
There you
Well,
go.
I can't wait for the UFO show or UAP show, because
We will
like I
do
was
that.
telling Gene, I was on the Art Bell show, and I know you remember Art Bell,
Mhm.
and
Yes.
and described a phenomenon that no one's been able to give me an answer to, and we'll wait for June before I give it to you. But
Okay. Yeah. I'll be back from Contact in the Desert about June. Well, at the end of the first week of June, and then we can plan something. It's all good.
Hopefully you'll be back, is what you mean.
Yeah, unless I'm abducted, and I'm going if they invite. I'm just saying.
I'd go. I'd
I'm
even
not
get probed.
I'm not even going to hesitate. although that's not what's going to happen, so it's not a big deal.
But yeah, BYP coming on Latter Daily Digest next month. So everybody mark your calendars, the whole calendar, the whole June. You never know when it's going to hit.
Yeah. Well, I have to go, unfortunately, but thank you so much for inviting me on this wonderful discussion. You people are near and dear to my heart. I love all of you. This is so much fun for me. I hope it's worth. I can see various people from my audience who have really been enjoying the chat and all, and so I did do this on my channel as well. It's also on Latter Daily Die. Thank you, Gene, for that. That's
Okay.
very kind of you. But I love you all. I'm going to go, but we will keep in touch and we will be back. I still have to get on your show, Megan, and I have
Yes,
to
you
get you
do.
on mine. I
That's right.
promise I'm not ignoring you, dear. I promise. So, and
I
it's
know
good
it.
to meet. It's good to meet every one of you other wonderful people. Looking forward to getting to know you guys better too. But I really have to run. So thank you again for this honor. I appreciate
Thanks for coming, Carrie.
Take care, Carrie.
BYP.
it. You
Thanks for
get
coming.
well,
Take care.
Tim. You're in my prayers, my brother.
Thanks.
You're a good man.
Thank you.
Just
Thank you.
like I tell people to keep them humble. You're a good man. I don't know what the hell you're good for, but you're a good man. You know, you get the gist.
That's right. Despite what they say, Tim's not a bad
Yeah.
guy.
He is awesome. All right, you guys. See you later.
Thank you. Bye.
I hope you feel loved, Tim, because everyone I know
I
was very
do. I do.
concerned to read your message today. That I was hoping there was going to be like a punchline or something, like I'm in the hospital with a heart attack, but something funny. But no, you were for real.
For real. Yeah. Still got to figure out what's going on. I don't know.
But no matter where Tim is in the world, Tuesdays with Tim is going to be in the room that he's in.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Forever and
Too bad
ever.
they
and
don't allow
ever and
cats
ever.
in the hospital.
That's right.
I know.
know
I
of.
know.
Although they do have a CAT scan, though,
Yeah.
just in
That's
case you
true.
tried to smuggle one
No
in.
cat-
Yeah, I'm gonna get a
only
CAT
CAT
scan
scans.
sometime. Only CAT scans. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I
Megan,
didn't
Well-
catch all of it, but I'm gonna have to go back and listen to what I missed.
It'll be well worth your time.
Oh, I know. I know.
And so,
Megan, you're
Jasmine,
running the show.
I'm running the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
we
the
all know
showrunner
that's not
tonight.
true. No, I just really appreciate the discussion. I really appreciate the different perspectives, and especially lately, especially the last several years, probably the last 10 years, I have so appreciated not being in an echo chamber and only listening to voices that are like mine. And so I really appreciate all of the different perspectives that we always have on this panel, and meeting new people. It's amazing. And, you know, I just appreciate so much the ability to connect in this way. And I think that, you know, since COVID, we just have all gotten a lot more comfortable with this type of a panel, you know, virtual panel discussion. And while I absolutely love the in-person energy, you know, just things like this wouldn't have been possible even just a few years ago. And so I'm just really grateful for all of the different ideas and perspectives and energies that we have here. And I appreciate Jean for helping us put all of this together, and Randy for your contributions to Jean's channel as well, your interviewing. And Tim, thank you for letting us, you know, be a part of your Tuesday nights as always.
It's always great. It's always great. I always appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah. Jasmine, do you have any
anybody-
other words that you want to add to tonight's discussion?
Oh, feel free to pray to Heavenly Mother. It feels good.
Anytime.
Jasmine, from time to time, I like to hand out awards. And you